The sun beat down on the back of my neck as I stood alone on the cracked pavement of a dusty Tajana street. My phone was dead, my wallet was gone, and my wife's laughter still echoed in my head. "It's just a prank, David," Lisa had said, her voice sharp and playful as she sped off in our rented Jeep, leaving me behind in a swirl of exhaust and confusion. "It's supposed to be funny. Just a quick scare," she called out, promising it would spice up our anniversary trip. But minutes stretched into an hour, then two, and the chaotic hum of the market around me, vendors shouting, mariachi music blaring. The scent of char meat thick in the air, felt less like an adventure and more like a cage. My chest tightened. Where was she? I kept replaying her words from that morning, her hazel eyes gleaming with mischief over breakfast at the hotel. "Let's make this trip unforgettable," she'd said, squeezing my hand. I had believed her. 10 years of marriage, 2 kids, and a mortgage hadn't dulled our spark. Or so I thought. But now, sweat dripped down my spine as doubt crept in like a thief. Was this really just a prank? Or was Lisa teaching me a lesson I didn't see coming? I wandered past stalls stacked with bright serapes and clay pots, the vendor smiles fading when I shook my head, unable to buy anything. My throat burned, dry and parched, but I had no pesos and no plan. A stray dog, its ribs sharp beneath mangy fur, sniffed at my sneakers before slipping away. I felt like that dog, abandoned and exposed. I tried to laugh it off, clinging to the idea of Lisa's joke, but my mind spiraled. What if she wasn't coming back? What if this was her way of saying something she couldn't bring herself to say at home? By the 3rd hour, I stumbled into a dim cantina, grateful for the cool shade from the relentless sun. The air smelled of stale beer and lime, and a jukebox played a mournful ranchera. I slumped onto a bar stool, staring at my reflection in the smudged mirror, a man I barely recognized, haggard and hollow-eyed. The bartender, a wiry man with a gray mustache, slid a glass of water toward me without a word. I nodded my thanks. My voice caught somewhere in my throat. That's when she appeared. Susan. She moved into the cantina like a breeze, her sundress catching the low light, her dark hair spilling over one shoulder. She was striking, not polished, but with an unguarded, raw beauty that seemed to still the room. She sat 2 stools down, ordering tequila in flawless Spanish, her voice low and warm. I caught her glance, and for a moment our eyes met. Hers curious, mine desperate. Guilt prickled my skin, and I looked away. I was married. Lisa would come back. This was only a prank. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Susan said lightly as she slid onto the stool beside me, her perfume, a faint floral, cutting to the grit of the cantina. I forced a smile, fidgeting with my empty water glass. "Just waiting for someone," I mumbled, my voice rough. "My wife," she's pulling a prank, "left me out here for a laugh." Susan arched an eyebrow, her lips curling slightly. "Some prank," she murmured, sipping her tequila. "How long's it been?" I glanced at my watch, dead, like my phone. 3 hours, maybe 4. Her eyes softened, but there was something else there. Pity, maybe, or suspicion. "That's a long time to wait in this heat," she said. "You sure she's coming back?" The question hit like a punch. I opened my mouth to defend Lisa, but the word stuck. Instead, I let out a brittle, hollow laugh. "She's coming back. She loves me. This is just her sense of humor." Susan didn't press, but her silence felt like a challenge. She leaned closer, her voice dropping. "You don't sound so sure." I wanted to argue, to tell her about the Lisa I knew, the woman who sang off-key to our kids at bedtime, who cried at rom-coms, who promised me forever. But the memory of her driving away, her laughter sharp and distant, gnawed at me. I ordered a beer, ignoring the fact I couldn't pay. Susan waved the bartender off with a quick smile. "On me," she said. "You look like you need it." We talked, or rather, she talked, and I clung to her words like a lifeline. She was a photographer traveling alone, chasing stories in forgotten corners of the world. Her tales of markets in Marrakesh and jungles in Costa Rica felt like glimpses of a life I'd forgotten, one where spontaneity beat routine. I laughed, then caught myself, guilt twisting in my gut. Lisa was out there somewhere. Wasn't she? The cantina grew louder as the evening crowd spilled in. Susan's hand brushed mine as she reached for her drink, and I froze, heat rising in my chest. I pulled back, muttering an apology, but she only smiled, unfazed. "You're a good guy, David," she said softly, "but you're carrying something heavy. Want to talk about it?" I didn't, but I did. The words poured out. Lisa's late nights at work, her sudden silences, the way she'd started locking her phone. Little things I'd brushed off, rationalized, buried under the weight of our life together. Susan listened, her gaze steady. When I finished, she didn't offer platitudes. Instead, she said quietly, "Sometimes people leave to see if you'll chase them. Sometimes they leave because they're already gone." Her words cut deeper than I wanted to admit. I excused myself, stepping outside to clear my head. The street had come alive now. Neon signs flickering, music pulsing from every corner. I checked my phone again, still dead, and my heart sank. 5 hours. No Lisa, no Jeep, just me, swallowed by a city that suddenly felt endless. When I returned, Susan was still there, her camera on the bar, her fingers tracing its lens. "You're still here," I said, surprised. "So are you," she replied, her voice gentle but pointed. She hesitated, then slid her phone toward me. "Borrow it. Call her." My hand shook as I dialed Lisa's number, the one I'd memorized a decade ago. It rang once, twice, then went to voicemail. Her bright, familiar voice stabbed at me. I hung up, throat tight, and handed the phone back. Susan's eyes held mine, and for a moment I wanted to stay there, in the warmth of her gaze, where betrayal didn't exist. Then her phone buzzed. A message flashed on the screen, and before I could look away, I saw the name. Lisa. My Lisa. My heart stopped as Susan's expression shifted. Guilt, panic, then resignation. She turned the phone over, but it was too late. "You know her," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "How?" Susan's lips parted, but no words came. The pieces fell into place. Lisa's prank, her absence, Susan's ease with me, a stranger. This wasn't coincidence. "She wanted to test you," Susan said at last, her voice breaking. "She thought if you were alone, you'd slip. She asked me to watch you, to see if you would—" She trailed off, eyes glistening. "I didn't expect to like you, David. I'm sorry." The cantina spun around me. My wife, my partner, had orchestrated this not as a prank, but as a trap to prove I was unfaithful, to justify her doubts or maybe her own betrayal. I thought of the locked phone, the late nights, the distance. The truth hit like a tidal wave. Lisa hadn't just left me in Mexico. She'd left us. I stood, my chair scraping the floor, and walked out into the night. Streetlights blurred through tears I didn't bother to wipe away. Behind me, Susan called my name, but I didn't turn back. Lisa had wanted me to fail, but the real failure was hers, and mine for not seeing it sooner.